I'm Marc, an art teacher, a professional artist, and in this week's video I'm going to show you around my office, the ultimate YouTuber slash artist workplace. Pretty nice. It was even featured in Imagine Effects a couple of months ago. I work 100% from home, and so a lot of thoughts over the years have gone into making this place pretty comfy, somewhere I can be as productive as possible. A lot of you have asked about my setup, and so I will explain everything today.
Everything.
Let's check it out. Alright, so this tour will be split in three main parts. So first we'll take a look at my YouTube setup, so my creator setup, everything that makes my face appear on camera possible. So details about the cameras that I use, my audio setup, my lighting setup, all that stuff. And then second part will be about my artist setup, so everything that I basically use on a daily basis to create art, courses, resources, that kind of stuff. And finally, we'll take a look at the rest of the office to see some of the cool things that I have in here that help fuel my creativity and just basically keeps me productive and inspired. So first things first, let's switch to what I see. So if you've ever wondered what's behind the camera, well, this is it right here. That's the desk, so that's my point of view. So we have camera number one right here, my lights here, we have the microphone back there, and the second camera usually would go right here, but right now, of course, it's in my hands. And then quickly what we see behind the room, but we'll take a look at that a little bit more in a couple minutes. To my right, I have my second desk here, usually my wife's desk or the kids. This is the back of the office where, of course, my candy jars are, and my assistant. And well, the other side of the room is just one more light here, and then that's the door, of course. So first, let's just get started with the actual cameras that I use here. So what I use to film are two Canon's EOS RP. This is the main camera here, so it's got a beefier lens. This is a 24-70 lens by Canon. And by the way, for all the equipment that I'm going to mention here in this video, I'm going to put links down in the description below so that you can find the exact same thing if you're also interested in putting together a setup like this. And the cameras are mounted on this big arm here that sticks to the wall, so I can move them around pretty freely. It's quite nice. So here, just to give you an idea of how, how much movement, how much range you can get from these things here. It's pretty nice. Gets quite long, and you can move it back and forth this way. So I can cover quite a big area of my office. I can also have the camera mounted up like this, pointing down at the Cintiq, that I can film myself as I draw. Haven't done that yet, but probably in the future. And the second camera that I have here in hand is also an OSRP, and I have them permanently plugged into power with dummy batteries. And both of these cameras are connected via HDMI to the Elgato Cam Link. So essentially turning these cameras into webcams, just way better quality. And just in case you're curious, the lens on that one is the 35mm. Much cheaper lens, this one. It's the secondary camera, so I didn't need as good of a lens. Works pretty well. Now, moving on to the audio setup here that I have this long thing right there pointing at my face as I'm recording. This is the Sennheiser MKH 416. This is a shotgun style condenser microphone. Now this thing works on phantom power. Basically it needs an amp. And so that microphone is plugged in directly into this DBX here 286S, and this is a mic preamp, and so this is where the audio is kind of cleaned up and boosted. That's why you can see every time I say something, this thing lights up. It looks like a fancy piece of equipment, but it's actually pretty simple. All it does really is just cleans up the noise. I can actually disable the processing so that you can see the difference that this actually makes. So this is me talking through the microphone without the preamp doing anything to it. And so the audio quality, as you can see, not the best. It can pick up a lot of the white noise in the room. Once the thing is activated, the audio usually sounds a lot better. What do you think? But anyways, once the sound from the microphone is all cleaned up, then it goes into this audio interface, the Mode 2 M2, and then right into the computer. And I don't have any post-processing syncing of audio to do or anything like that. The audio is recorded live along with the video, and so super simple, super convenient. I just hit record in OBS, and this is the final result. Pretty nice. Oh, real quick, something I forgot to mention, but I have this mic switch here. So all this does really is just it turns off and on the audio. So you just press it to mute the audio. What's nice about this is that you don't hear like a clicking noise or anything. It's very silent. And this is all I use to mute the sound so I don't have to do anything in the software. And then this little thing here right above, this is the Stream Deck, again, by Elgato. And on here, I have my different camera setups. So if I press here, I go to my left cam. And what's nice with this is that it's all synced up to my lights. And so the lights behave differently depending on the camera angle. Each of the different camera setups have their own lighting setups. So it's always optimal, at least as best as I can make it. I am no professional photographer, but it looks good enough to me. Now I've kind of hinted at it, but let's move on to the lighting setup here. So I have this circular light here that sometimes I'll use to put around the main camera, just so that I can get this circular light reflection in my eye to make it more sparkly. But usually I'll just use that to light up the green screen behind me to get a better kind of light distribution everywhere. Now the main lights are going to be these Elgato stream lights up here. Like I said, each of these are programmed differently depending on the camera angle that I'm using. Or I could also control it with the Stream Deck here. So if I want to reduce the light from this one or increase it, there you go, can do that with the Stream Deck or with my phone, whatever. These are nice, soft, diffuse lights. So, and then right behind me, I have my hair light. Funny name, but basically this one creates this highlight here around. I should probably have like a diffuser on it so that it's not super effective like this, because as it gets more and more bald, it's gonna get more and more of a reflection. I'll sort that out later. The lights that I use are these ones here. So Godox SL60W, not too expensive, and they're pretty silent and also pretty damn bright. But to give you an idea of what that hair light does, let's turn it off. Click. The whole point of this light is to separate me better from the background. Basically give my silhouette a little more of a highlight. And then the other light, it lights up the background essentially. So without it, on, off, on. So that's the light setup. 2 main lights in the front, 2 other lights in the background. And both of them are held on similar arms as I use for the cameras. So I have 4 of these arms in total. And then of course, for all the streaming and the recording, I have my green screen up here that I can easily pull down whenever I need to. And then of course, right now it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but switch to streaming mode. And then I'm going to adjust the lights. There we go. So now I get good coverage everywhere. Of course, we zoom in a little bit. And now I'm inside the screen and I'm streaming. When I don't need it anymore, just pull it up. It goes away. My work here is done. So it's hanging from the ceiling right behind my chair. Super convenient. And all of this stuff here is just a very, very temporary measure. Because yeah, at noon, it gets pretty bright in here because of these holes in the ceiling. And then when it comes to my creator setup, of course, audio is important in here. I don't want a bunch of echo. And so I have these panels. So these are acoustic panels. I have 2 of them here, 2 of them in the back. I have 2 hanging from over the computer. I have another one here that I need to kind of install. The ones that I have, I think, are from Audio or Audi Mute or something like that. They're not cheap, but they're not the most expensive either. And they do work a hell of a lot better than these flimsy ones up here that basically this one is replacing. So yeah, if you're looking to soundproof your room, kind of just ignore these. They don't do anything. There we go. So this is my creator setup, my YouTube setup. It's very convenient. It's very practical. I think I got it to a really good, comfortable place. And so we're going to just move on to the next section, which I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting for, my artist setup. Let's check out what I make my art with. Starting with the tablet here. So this is a Wacom Cintiq 27 QHD. So a little bit older. I think this is what, like 6 or 7 years old. But I've had it since launch pretty much. And it's hold up all these years, no problem. So love it. Not gonna lie though, it's a little bit wide. So whenever, I use the keyboards and the mouse, I kind of have to push the tablet back a bit. But that's not a problem because both of these screens, including the keyboard, all of that is held up by some Ergotron arms. So we have one arm here going for the Cintiq. The bigger arm right there, this supports only the screen because the screen is pretty damn big. This is a Dell 49-inch curve monitor. Fantastic screen to edit, but pretty much horrible for everything else. It's just way too wide. And here we have the keyboard also on its own arm. And that might seem a little silly, but this works great when I need to push this tablet back a bit. So what I do is I slide it down here, and to help support here so that it doesn't break my desk, a little Neko bus here. There you go. Now everything is nice and supported, and I can bring in my mouse a little closer. Now I can bring the keyboard a little closer. And now I don't have to stretch my arms around the Cintiq. Much better. When I play video games, stuff like that, perfect. Now for music or to play, to play games or whatever, like my regular speakers are these Rocket 6 by KRK. Got 2 of these on each side. And now when it comes to my computer, I have it on a little tray here with wheels. You can pull this out. So here is the beast. So what do we have in here? Well, so for the video card, I have a 2080 Ti. Haven't got my hand on the new generation yet. Maybe soon. The CPU is an Intel i9 X series from 2 years ago. So I'm not exactly sure of the number. I think it's 9,000 something. And then I have 128 gigs of RAM in here. So a little overkill, but I do a lot of editing. And when it comes to just 3D software in general, it's a lot more memory intensive. And so I have a bunch of memory so that I never run out. And of course I have like an ungodly number of SSDs in there for all the data. Of course I stream a lot every weekend with my students. I create a lot of video content for the YouTube stuff. And then on top of that, recording courses. So a lot of video. I need a lot of space. Now the desk, of course, important piece of the setup. This is a desk by autonomous.ai. This is a smart desk, and I have a standing position too. Rise, baby, rise. So there was a lot of work that went into making that possible. That's also why I have a little bit of a dangling wire issue down here, but it needs to be kind of loose. Otherwise, yeah, everything snaps when the desk moves. But whenever I stream for a long time and I need to stand up a little bit, this is perfect. And then I can just go back down. Yeah. Now, since I sit on my ass all day, well, I needed to get a good chair. I need to make an investment, get something that's decent. So I got myself a Herman Miller chair. So this model is the Embody. I also have back here just the regular, what is this, Aeron, something like that. Also from Herman Miller. But these chairs are super comfortable, really, really good back supports, and they last forever. So this is what we used to have at Blizzard. Never had any back issues while I was working there, and so yeah, very happy with my purchase. They're not exactly cheap, but they're worth the money. It's health, it's important. But again, links to everything that I've mentioned are going to be down below. Oh, maybe one last thing when it comes to my desk. So I have headphones here. These are what, Sony and something. Sound really good, but the battery is horrible on these. And so whenever I'm out of battery, I always have my backup. And these are holding up thanks to this little rubbery strip with little dents in it, holds the cable. Pretty convenient. Oh, and this one little random thing here that's just hanging. This is a Japanese charm for wealth that I got in Japan visiting a temple a couple years ago. So it stayed with me since, and I can tell you it's been working. So these things are no joke. So that's how I create my art. Now let's take a look around this office here to see a couple of things that are kind of cool that I have scattered around. So immediately right next to me, I have my little coffee table. So I don't have a whole lot of space on my desk. So this is where I'll put like drinks and snacks and stuff like that. And here I have some miscellaneous items. So mostly this is where I put my smudge guard when I draw. Oh, when I don't draw. Back here, I have a little squishy thing for stress relief. Yeah, feels so good. To my right, like I showed initially, I have a secondary desk here. So this is going to be the one that my wife uses. We've been playing a lot of Cyberpunk 2077 here. That computer is not super good, but good enough to play the game on the max settings. That's all that matters. Now these things here on the wall, like these lights here, they're called Nanoleaf Canvas, and they're basically programmable little lights here. So you can have them programmed to react to sound. Every time I talk, they light up, or they can also play some random animations, but they make the office look super cool. It doesn't really come out that nice on camera, but in person it's a lot better, believe me. Now here on this desk, I have a little souvenir from my time at Blizzard, some candies laying around, and then a very nice, very high quality anatomy statue here. I think this was from anatomytools.com. And then I have just some female hips laying around, as one usually does, am I right? Up here I have my beautiful play button, picture of my daughter when she was born, Oculus set, another anatomy figure here. This time this is the female version, so coming from the same place. My son, and then a little doll here that you can pose, that I grabbed in Japan once again. So these are super rare, but I got one. And believe it or not, this thing was like 500 bucks. Ridiculous. In the back of the office here, I have my only poster that I have, so I don't hang up much art at all, but I do have this poster here from Gundam Wing. One of the first very significant anime that I watched in my life. Had a lot of influence on me as an artist, and it's just a killer image too. So I wanted to have that up as a reminder of what got me into this whole thing in the first place. And then if we make our way to the back of the office, my little candy nook. Up here, Here's my glorious sword for 5 years of service at Blizzard. Of course, I did spend a couple more years after that, but there you go. And then all my candies, the fuel for my art. No candies, no art. A couple art books down there, but as you can see, my collection is quite limited. Not really a book person. And then down from there, some of the Blizzard games that came out during my time at Blizzard, some of which I contributed to. And right next to that, I have my assistant. That's unfortunately been dead for a long time, but he's still pretty useful even in this form. And so I keep him around. And I hope that I can find the link for that. If I do, I'll put it down in the description below. But this whole skeleton is really well made. Like a really good solid plastic. And it was like 200 bucks or something like that. Something ridiculous. Well worth the money. And that's about it. On the other side of the room here, just have a lamp and kind of just a temporary table for for random things. And I kind of skipped over this, but of course, baseball bats. If anybody tries to steal my art, they're not gonna get it so easy. There we go. This is it for the tour. So I hope that was entertaining. I think I showed pretty much everything that was worth mentioning. So yeah, let me know what you thought about it. What you thought about the office. Now you might be looking at all of this stuff and, you know, checking the prices online and thinking to yourself, wait a minute, Marc must be loaded. He must be a billionaire. And while some of this stuff is expensive, most of it has been paid for by YouTube, essentially. So thanks to you guys. Basically all the money that I make with YouTube, I try to reinvest in the channel to make things better for you guys. I didn't have to get these two cameras, but it looks better and it allows me to do different things. So hopefully it'll be a benefit to the channel. I have only good things to say about the equipment that I have. None of this is sponsored or anything like that. It's just I like it, but I'll put affiliate links down in the description below so that you can look up everything or most of what I mentioned today. Now, before we wrap up this video, as I mentioned in last week's video, I am going to be showing you guys the results of my Draw This in Your Style that I hosted as a celebration for crossing 500,000 subscribers here on YouTube and also 100,000 on Instagram, but who cares about that? There was a lot of really good submissions, so I'm really excited to show you what some of your peers have created. Now, while I won't be able to show all the arts that was created, you know, in this video because there were hundreds of submissions. I did try to like them all. I did see them all, I think. If you tagged me, I probably saw it because I've been checking every day. And I've also reshared, retweeted some of them already. So I just want to preface this by saying a huge thank you, for participating in this. It was my first time hosting a Draw It in Your Style and it's been awesome. This was the original character. This is what you guys recreated. So I'm going to show you a bunch of my favorites and you'll find the link to the social media profile for each of the individual artists down in the description. So check them out if you like their art, go support them. Let's get started. So here we have the first one. I really loved the type of shading in here and just like, her kind of gesture, brushing her hair with her weapon. Exactly like I had in mind. Really nice. And once again here, a lot of those that I chose are those that had very interesting styles to me. So it's not so much that the artist was necessarily better, but it was more a style that I found aesthetic. And so another good example here reminds me of like 80s and 90s mangas. Really nice. Here someone did an animation. What? Like how freaking cool is this? As a concept artist, it doesn't get much better than this to see your actual character moving. Oh, the feelings. This one, I really like the shading, kind of like this soft, nice, peachy shading. I like the boldness in the colors for this one here, really helping the blade look dangerous. This one I found had really good quality to the line art. This one was more of a style that's just I really like, I really enjoy. I personally wouldn't go for something like this, but it looks so good in this case. Another one, once again, love the style. Beautiful. This one I had to show off because the shading is so good. It looks like a 3D model almost. Another one here that makes her look super cool. We even have the accurate, background for the island, for Chroma Island back here. And this was done by one of my students, so awesome stuff. Next one. Bruh. This one definitely does not represent her personality, but man, look at this thing. It's like Miso's evil twin. Perfect. This one, I really love the style of the shading. Love the choice of color too. This one here I just found so different. I love the stylized anatomy. The way that some part of the anatomy is kind of reinforced in a weird way, but it's kind of aesthetic. Very cool. Next one. I mean, hello. That came out awesome. Such an interesting style. Beautiful art. This one here, I just love the shading. I thought initially that was a 3D model, but no, it's all painted. Very good. This one here is just so nice. Love the pose, love the gesture, loved everything about this. Killer stuff. Next one here, that made me quite happy, to see her in different kind of outfits. Next one, what we got here? Ooh. So another style that's very, very different from mine, but it's super bold and that really fits the character. So I had to pick this one. Very good. Next one here, one of my favorites. It's I'm a sucker for lighting. So whenever I see good lighting in a piece, I'm already a fangirl. Fanboy? This I thought was a really, really cool take on her. Like it kind of fits her personality, but I like the really dark, kind of creepy mood that the piece gives off. And it's a beautiful portrait too, so awesome stuff. That one was a little more simple, but I love just how fierce she looks. Look at this. Hell yeah. Another one that I wanted to choose because the shading was just so good. And I had the same expression as her when I saw this, like, what? The final one. This one here, again, very cool use of lighting, beautiful colors. So once again, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for all the submissions. I had a blast going through all of these. Again, this is just a small portion of everything that you guys submitted. There were many more, so you can find those on Instagram. Instead of looking at my post, just look at my tagged posts. This way, you'll see everything that was submitted. You'll be glad you did. And this is going to wrap it up for this video. I hope the office tour was interesting. And if you feel like I went over something a little too fast, or you had any like other questions about anything that I showed today, feel free to ask down below. I always read all the comments. So yeah, now make sure you come back next week for another tutorial. Make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss the announcement. I believe it's illegal not to anyways. And